we're at this part. وَأْلَمْ يَا بُنَيَّ أَنَّ أَمَامَكَ طَرِيقًا ذَا مَسَافَةٍ بَعِيدًا. When you hear these lines were attributed to Ali alayhi salam, don't think as if I'm speaking, as if Imam Ali is speaking. When I speak, it's darkness. When he's speaking, it is light. It has an effect. Know in front of you, my son, a road, a long distance, and a severe hardship is in front of you that you cannot avoid seeking it. Know that in front of you, this life that we have, there's two qualities, he says. One is masafa ba'ida, it's a long journey. How long is life when you think about it? Life, God has given us how many, you could say, minutes, hours, years, 70, 80 years in general is the average lifespan. How much is that? How much does a person change in that long journey? So it is very long. And is it that you have to be religious one part of it? Or is it you have to be an abd, a slave of God during the entire journey? You cannot slip and fall anytime, or else it's dangerous. As if we go to the mountains with one of the brothers, we go to the mountains, or say a very dangerous mountain, say Himalayas, or K2, for example, in besides Everest, K2, one of these peaks. How long would that take, and how careful would you be not to slip and fall down? So it's a journey of this life that we have is exampled as being very long. وَأَحْوَالِ الشَّدِيدَةِ, and it's difficult, there's difficulty, there's hardship in this world. So when you have such a dangerous, for example, trip that you're going to have, you're going to go towards in the Himalayas, how prepared would you be for it? How much preparations? How much equipment would you bring? How much know-how, expertise would you have? Can we approach life, the life that we have today, haphazardly and do whatever we want and not be prepared, and whatever happens, happens? Or do we have to strive in this world? Do we have to be prepared? And then Imam Ali continues and talks about more about how it's important to be light, how it's important not to be heavy. And what his meaning is to send your deeds, what you have in this world, to send it, give it to charity, give it to others, and they will take that for you. If you wanted to go through the Himalayas with a lot of luggage, baggage, you couldn't. It's so heavy, right? If taking a tuna can when you're hiking, it's heavy for you, right? But the lighter you are, the more you prevail. So how can you be light? The example is to giving charity, or doing good deeds. You take what you have someone else carry it for you, and they give it to you where? In the hereafter. They take your bags for you. And there you only give them $5 or $10 tip, and you say, thank you very much for taking my luggage from this world to the hereafter. And then it says, وَأَعْلَمْ أَنَّ أَمَامَكَ أَقَبَ كَأُودَى. It is an impassable valley where the light people pass. Do not be heavy in this world. Be light. And therefore, at the end, I'm going to read these few lines. I'm just, فَارْتَدْ لِنَفْسِكَ قَبْلَ نَزُولِكَ. Therefore, investigate for yourself before alighting, before your place of preparation where you're going to sit, and prepare the place before going down, because after death, there'll be no more preparation, no more musta'tab. There'll be wala ila dunya munsarif. You cannot go back to this world anymore. So be prepared for where you're going to sit. It is a journey we're taking, and we're going to have a final destination, a final place, and have that place prepared. Prepared from now. When you look at this hadith, it reminds me, and we have to think of this, what is the correct way, what is the correct methodology or good plan that we can have to be successful in this world? What is a good plan? Obviously, you need a good plan to be, if we said we were traveling, we're going to the mountains, hiking. What is the best plan? One of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is this, that we should focus on, and what has caused many people to fall down is seeking comfort too much. We can turn on the air conditioning if you want. It's starting to get hot, but if you want to, it's okay. If you guys are warm. Seeking comfort. So I don't want to. I'm okay, but for you guys, if you guys. we're sitting on seeking comfort. So, we live in a culture that if it's 78, it's hot. They say, don't invite me to your home if it's 78. And if it's like 74, you get too cold. Because we're used to comfort. We're used to exact temperature. You get hot fast, you get cold fast. If you look at our lives, and maybe in a lot of schools, we could say when they teach Islamic education, instead of focusing so much on beliefs, which is important, it is important to believe in God, believe in the hereafter, believe in prophet. These are all important things in theology. Maybe we should focus on them, how to seek comfort less. And I'm going to explain this. One of the problems that we have is that our youth, ourselves, this country we live, this society we live in, this time period we live in, we are such seekers of comfort. And maybe it is not that seeking of, that correct theology or not having the right proof that causes us to not pray. Maybe it's laziness. If you ask most kids that don't pray, what do you think it's from? A lot of it just comes from laziness. And laziness means seeking comfort too much. Saying, okay, I'll pray later. I'm watching something. I'm in the middle of something. I'm doing something. And that causes someone not to pray. And then they get used to it. And they get used to it and used to it and used to it. And that's all it is. It's not as if what you have to go and talk to him. Look, did you read this Burhan, this proof of God about imkan and wujub, for example, possible existence and necessary existence? It's like, oh, no, I didn't know. Let me pray now. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe a lot of it is seeking what? Seeking comfort. So when you look at a lot of problems that society has, a lot of times that we don't become that person that we want to become, it comes from seeking comfort, seeking raha, trying to be at ease. And we see that more and more. Don't you see that in today's society? For example, let me give you some more examples, how it ruins our life, how it ruins our spirituality. You want to have a wholesome meal. You need nutrition. You need to be able to have good food. People are suffering from diabetes, cholesterol problems, more than ever before. I heard in some countries, their health ministry is filing bankruptcy. I don't know if it's true or not, but from some of the Middle Eastern countries, because there's so much diabetes. One of the reasons for that is fast food, processed food, foods that are in packages, for example. And we want to seek comfort, we want to be at ease. It's easy to go by one of these fast food places and get a meal and get full, very fast. But to cook and prepare fresh food, whole food, good food for us, it's hard, it takes time. So we say, hey, let's go there. One of my friends was joking, and he said that, even this, as you go to fast food, it takes too long. You have to wait in line, and you have to get your food. They should just bring it out. You should take a bite of it and, give gas and go away. That should be fast food. So we're used to this fast food society. Everything is fast, comfortable. When you wake up in the morning, you're in the car. When you wake up in the morning, you sit down for breakfast. You're off from your bed in a chair. Then you go in another chair, your car. Then you go to office, you're in another chair, and then you come home, you're in a nice sofa, then you go to your bed. Sofa, you don't even touch the ground anymore, mashallah, barely. You're just always in a chair. So it's comfort, too much. And what does this cause for us? It causes us to be relaxed, to be lazy, to not strive. And it's very interesting, the word jihad in the Quran is used many times. At least you can know in the Meccan verses that usually that word is not used for war. Because in Mecca, the Prophet of Islam did not have battles. Did he have battles in Mecca, or were they in Medina after Hijrah? The battles were Battle of Badr, for example, Uhud, Khandaq, Hunayn, all the other battles were primarily in Medina after Hijrah. So the surah should be Madani. They should be in Medina. There's some jihad as fighting. But if jihad is used in Mecca verses, you could say it's meant something else. It's meant strife, working hard. And that's what it's mujtahid or ijtihad comes from. So you see two ways. Either if you get too used to comfort and you get too lazy and I'm talking to myself this, and you get too used for this fast food lifestyle, living on a chair, being, and even sometimes when you're traveling, you don't even like a few hours of being next to someone. You don't like that economy feeling. You want to be in first class to be a little bit more, luxurious, much more comfort. You don't even like discomfort and that's why sometimes they go to Hajj, it's so hard. You go to Atabat and Araq, it's so hard for them. You go to Ziyarah, it's hard. You're not used to this amount of discomfort. So would you agree with me that we have to open up the topic of seeking comfort and being too comfortable as being one of the problems in practicing religion, one of the great problems? Is comfort itself something good? Yes. It is actually instinctive in us that we should actually seek comfort. But we have a positive comfort and a negative comfort. Positive comfort comes from things in the correct way. I'm going to explain it soon, inshallah. Negative comfort, we'll explain first, is when a person sins, that is negative comfort. Sinning, addiction, all these things are part of because of seeking comfort. When there's a non-mahram and a person wants to look at it, naturally they're attracted to the opposite gender. They look at that opposite gender. For them to not look, it is harder. They need to strive. It's harder. It's easier to look, right? Because that's what their instincts say. But to not look is more difficult. They have to get out of that comfort. So sin itself, in a way, is comfort. It's submitting to your comfort. And then they see, but in reality, they cannot have that person, for example, or they cannot get married to them. They'll see more and see more. And in reality, what sin is that comfort that they didn't want to fight against themselves, they didn't want to fight against their lower desires, causes them to, at the end, be bothered and bothered and bothered more and more and more and more, and they become more of a slave of their desires, and they're just bothering themselves because at the end, they're, in terms of the eye, they're just looking at some things or different things they can never have. They're just torturing themselves. So negative using or getting used to negative comfort or comfort in a negative way causes us to sin, causes us to be bothered. They come to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in hadith and they ask him, Aina tariqul raha? What is the path into Tuhaful Uqul? What is the path to comfort? How can I reach comfort? Because comfort itself is good, but not negative comfort. Imam alayhi salam says, fi khilaf al-hawa, fighting against or resisting your hawa, your lower desires, your animalistic desires. It's very interesting. I was looking at this topic about for tonight's speech, and I saw that psychologists actually, they say something interesting. They say that addiction is actually in reality searching for comfort. Another word for addiction, some say, is ritualized, compulsive comfort seeking. It is when a person gets addicted to a substance, because they are seeking comfort, they get addicted. How does this work? For example, there's trauma, something they don't like, something bad happens to them. And they want to seek comfort. Where do they seek comfort? They want to forget about it. So they use substances. They go to the bar. They use alcohol, whatever. They get into an addiction. Why? That addiction in reality is just compulsive comfort seeking. They're trying to relieve themselves from that pain, and they're seeking that comfort, which is, for them, whatever it is, alcohol, drugs, whatever. And now they're in a different world now. They don't feel that pain anymore. And then again, and then something else happens, and they don't like it. Again, this is how people get addicted. Something again happens, and again, that's why you see in this culture, whenever something negative happens, we don't do this, alhamdulillah, but they go to the bar. What happened in the bar? This guy tells this guy, I lost my job. This guy tells this guy, I lost my wife. This guy tells, something happened there. And they're speaking because they're trying to seek comfort in that substance. And when you keep opening this up, addictions and whatever type of addictions are, TV sometimes. You're tired, you had a rough day at work, something happened, you try to seek comfort in TV, online, YouTube videos. You get addicted to watching my YouTube videos, for example. I'm joking, for example. Sorry? Games. Again, another thing, addiction, games. Because you're having a rough time, rough day, or you're depressed, and you're seeking comfort in those games. And that is all an addiction is. So there, when you look at it, ritualized, compulsive comfort seeking. That's what an addiction is. But we learned from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam that is not raha. Raha is the opposite. To fight against your desires. That's raha. That's positive comfort. How is it positive comfort? Because that person that leaves alcohol, substances, leaves those urges to look at others, for example, in reality, what are they doing? They are freeing themselves from those urges. They are in reality not bothering themselves. Because inside those addictions, there's torture. They're removing themselves from torture. They are freeing themselves. Now they are living a healthy life, a good life. They're enjoying life. Which one has a better life? A person that is addicted or a person that is free from addiction? Which person? So maybe we could say Imam Sadiq alayhi salam told us about comfort and told us about that comfort, that negative comfort seeking, which is in reality today they're saying is an addiction, 1400 years ago, 1200 years ago. That if you want to have a good life, we should be comfortable, but a good and healthy life. In the same way it comes to food, preparing food compared to, say, fast food, a person that prepares wholesome, good food. At the end, will they live a better life than a person that is addicted or always using, for example, comfort and easiness when it comes to cooking? Which one's going to have a better life? Someone that obviously eats healthy. Or else, there's books written, either you have to, is the fork or for example, the knife. Which one do you choose? Meaning the fork, giving up some types of foods that we eat, or the knife, the surgery, right? Which one? So just as in our body, in the same way that you're trying to not use that laziness, that comfort seeking, in using that fast option, that easy option, and to prepare yourselves good food. And also when it comes to reading Islam, is studying. You don't try to find that, that clip. You're just trying to use clips and things like on social media to get your Islamic knowledge. No, you actually have to work hard for it. You actually might have to open a book. It's something hard. We're just so used to YouTube, but that is not how someone becomes a scholar. They actually worked hard. They worked very, very hard. They say one of our ulama or usulis that they quote today. There are three people in usul they quote a lot, and the roots of jurisprudence they quote a lot today. And Muhaqqiq Iraqi, or we call him Aghaziya, was one of them. Iraqi here means the city of Iraq in Iran. There's an Iraq and there's an Iraq. Iraq means a city in Iran called Iraq. He didn't have many books. When they saw his library, they didn't have many books. He says, I would just think. He would think and think. But he said that ijtihad, he was a mujtahid. He said ijtihad is like making a hole into a boulder with a needle. You have to keep tapping it until you can pierce a boulder. That is how, again, when you work hard. So the opposite. So we see in this generation, again, even when it comes to making money, the new generation, they just want to invest. Again, people say, why do you give these examples? I'm just example. They want to invest in crypto or in stocks or something, and they don't want to work at all. They think they're so smart, mashallah, I'll just invest in this, and I'm just going to go and discover the world with the profits I have. And just discover and live a nice life. But they don't want to work those same hours as the previous generation. Do you see the problem that we are facing is seeking too much comfort, and it's hurting our health, it's hurting our work, our careers are being hurt, And at the end also, it's hurting our knowledge by the way you're not seeking knowledge, by attending a class, going to people that offer that knowledge to you. You know, you're just trying to learn it. And, you know, our teacher saw this trend in the Hausa. He said that, you know, back then we used to read very hard books, especially in Arabic grammar. We used to read Mutawwal. It's not studied anymore. It's something today in, say, in Al-Azhar in Egypt, their PhD students read. They would read it in this third year in the Shia Hausa. They don't read that anymore. Mutawwal became shorter. All the books became shorter. And he would make a joke. He said, all these hard books from the ulama, from the qudama, now they're being, summarized. He says, in the future, they'll just tell you, read this piece of paper. He's like, did you read it? So yes, you're a mujtahid now. Now you read it, you're a mujtahid. So that is the future, he was saying. They don't study. I'm talking to myself too. So that seeking comfort, seeking easiness is a disease. And you see, it's all around us in the society that we live in. It's affecting us. And most importantly, you would say it's affecting our religion. Because we want to reach, then you see a lot of inhiraf and misguidance. People that want to reach very high positions, and they meet someone and says, do this dhikr, and you'll be of the awliya of God. You do this recitation, and that's it. It's done. They don't say that, no, the real path of submission, of ibadah, of worship, is that long path that Imam Ali alayhi salam said to every day work hard, work, and to strive for it, sacrifice, fight against your nafs, fight against your desires. Then you'll be abadun nas, taqwa, which is the hardest thing. Taqwa, to not commit a sin in any realm of your life. That is hard work. But now we come to religion and we say, now I'm just going to read this dua, it's going to make me spiritual. I'm going to do this dhikr, it's going to make me spiritual. So we're trying to look for loopholes and shortcuts, but the reality of the matter is this: unless we solve this problem of being able to be strong enough to work hard and to not seek comfort, then we will have problems. I'm going to read the rest of the hadith and we'll make it short, because we live in a society today that if you talk a little bit too much, then people get tired and they'll, I was recording in for a channel, and they would tell me, like, Sayyidina, make it 60 seconds only, make it a minute, 2 minutes only for social media. He says people, they don't want more, 60 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 15 minutes. If it's like over 10s for social media, they won't watch it at all. And then at the same time, they had a program in Qom in the language of Hausa, which is for Nigeria. And they would say for them, they would have an hour and a half long program, and people would call in not to disconnect the program. Keep it, please. We're still watching. Thousands of people were on the line because they were so thirsty for that knowledge, But if you see, it affects our education that you cannot listen to something more than 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You're not used to it anymore. You just want to go swipe up and you watch something else. And this is a reality. So let's finish this. Hadith, Imam Sa'ad says, fi khala fil hawa. That's the way of raha. Comfort is fighting against your desires. When you fight against the desires, you'll be free. You'll be a free person. فَمَتَى يَجِدُ عَبْدُ الرَّاحَةِ. And then they ask, how can you truly find yourself being a slave of raha, or really receiving, you could say, comfort? And the Imam advises us in other hadith, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ يَوْمٍ يَصِيرُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. The first day that when you enter heaven, when it changes to heaven, that will be the first day of your comfort. Meaning what? That the reality of this world, yes, you'll have some relief by fighting against your hawa, not being addicted as others are addicted. But the reality of this world is, this is a world of work. This is not a work of being of at ease. Imam Ali alayhi salam, there were groups of people that used to beg. They used to come in Kufa, and they would say, we are this group that if they give us food, we will eat. If people do not give us food, we will not eat. Imam Ali alayhi salam compared them to the dogs. And says that's the mentality that dogs have. If they give you, they will eat. If they don't, they will not. And he dispersed that group and made them work. So rahat will not be in this world. People seek comfort, true comfort in this world, and they will never find it. Actually, that's a danger if your life is too easy, too routine. That means you're in your comfort zone too much. You're not trying hard enough. You should be trying so much. You should be trying so hard in every field that you have. It's your school, your work, your career, all this for God, and especially your spirituality. And that is when a person becomes a great person. So the plan that we have, to summarize from what Imam Ali alayhi salam mentions about this world being a long journey, a dangerous journey, the good plan that we have is that we're seeking out one of the poisons and toxins of today's society, which is seeking comfort. And this seeking comfort, talabul raha, causes us so much laziness, causes us to get used to not having enough taqwa, that at the end it causes us misery, addiction, sin, because you get used to being so at ease that you don't want to exert any effort to do anything, to read, to study, to worship, to even resist from with the eyes, the ears. You don't want to do anything. But in the opposite side is the life of strife, the life of jihad, ijtihad, what Imam Ali alayhi salam had, that they were always working, they were always busy. Let's recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal farajuhum. For us, I think it's good to see in your individual lives one aspect that you think you are too comfortable in. There's too much easiness. And that aspect, think what it is. Is it education? Is it worship? Is it, I don't know, recitation of Quran? Something you think we might be a little lazy in. And try to change that, inshallah, by next week. Let's focus on all of us, inshallah, on one aspect of our lives. It is the night of Friday. It is Thursday night. And the best way for us to have courage in order to fight against our nafs is by connecting to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. One of the great companions of Imam Hussein is Hazrat Abbas. And Hazrat Abbas, when you think about him, that he becomes the chief of all martyrs. He becomes a martyr that everyone in the day of judgment wishes they were like him. They wished they had his status. Was the fact that he worked very hard. He sacrificed. He strove for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When they come to give him a letter, and a person that is seeking comfort, and there's a letter of protection from Shimr, because his family members somehow with Banin, his tribe, and he gives them a letter of protection. There's an easy way out. I have a letter of protection, that's it. If someone wants to seek comfort, they would go out, they would leave. But Abbas, even with that protection letter, became one of the great defenders of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, became one of the great defenders of Ahlul Bayt, in the family of Imam Hussein. And that it is the day of Ashura, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his brother comes to him and mentions that he cannot take it anymore. Daqa sadri, my chest is pressured. I can't see it anymore. We have lost the companions. Because the companions of Sayyid al-Shuhada said, we will not live as long as we're here. We won't allow any of the Bani Hashim to be martyred. So they were martyred first. The companions of Imam Hussein were first martyred. And then slowly and slowly, the family members of Imam Hussein is martyred. So Hazrat Abbas says, I cannot take it anymore. Daqa satri, my chest is in pressure. Allow me, give me rakhsa, give me permission, brother. Give me permission to show my strength, to show my power, to endeavor and have jihad for your path. Imam Hussein alayhi salam mentions, before you go to battle, go and bring water in the maqtal it has for my children. And Abbas tried his hardest to bring water. This was a command of his Mawla, command of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he tried his hardest to make sure that these small children from Ruqayya, so can you imagine them in the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Children were thirsty in Karbala. How come Muslims prohibit water from animals? You don't prohibit water. Prohibit water from the young children and infant of Imam Hussein. A spoonful of water was enough for Ali Asghar. How much? A little cup maybe for Sakina, for Ruqayya, for these children. And Abbas, his only strife was this, to make sure that the water was brought back for the family of Imam Hussein. So he got his water. And he struggled so hard for Imam Hussein that in the Maqtal it says he saw the water and wanted to have somebody thought of Imam Hussein and his family. And he let go of that water again. He wanted to meet Allah thirsty, with thirsty lips. So he took his canister and began to ride. He began to ride back. But they surrounded him. They shot arrows at him. They attacked him, losing one arm, losing the other. But he still had ijtihad. He still had jihad, strife. He still tried to bring water for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He struggled to bring water for Imam Hussein. That at the end it was seen when he fell off his horse that he was still without arms, struggling in putting the canister, you could say, between his mouth in a way to bring water to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That when he lived, he became the best of the martyrs because he gave whatever he had for Imam Hussein. Not was one thing you could say Abbas did not give for Hussein alayhi salam. And this is why it broke the back of Hussein ibn Ali. Now my back is broken, Abbas, because I knew what worth you had. I knew how your mother was. I knew how your mother raised you to be loyal to us. Now my back is broken. Inna lillah, inna ilayhi raji'un. Ya Allah, we ask you, because of Hazrat Abbas, inshallah, give us courage and give us persistence in working hard in our lives, inshallah. Working hard for Islamic knowledge. Working hard for worship in your path, inshallah. Ya Allah, whatever we are weak at, we are lacking, allow us to know what it is so we can strive even more, inshallah. May Allah bless the soul of the marhumin, those that have passed away, inshallah, from this community. May Allah forgive our sins. May Allah continue to keep us pure in the month of Shawwal, inshallah. Ya Allah, we ask you to give us that energy to be able to serve the Imam of the age, inshallah, and to be of his companions during his ghaibat and occultation. Ya Allah, we ask you to accept all the volunteers, all those that are attending, accept from them service for Imam Zaman, inshallah. May Allah expedite the return of our Imam with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If there are any questions, I can answer them, inshallah, if I know the answer. One person asked me about this topic, so in general, comfort is bad. I said, no, comfort is good. We said there's negative comfort and there's positive comfort. Islam in general, acting upon it will give you a better life, will give you more comfort in this world. But that negative comfort that causes us to remove ourselves from that reward that will be much higher, better later on, that quick comfort, that is what is bad, that fast comfort. Any questions do you have? Okay. I'll do salams. No, it's okay. When you're here, mashallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا آثار الله وابن آثاره والوزر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونحيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أعطاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرزيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من متلحمات ثيابها. أشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرزي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله والملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإياكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم.